Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon, and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. And as always, thank you for all your support, including sharing, chatting, liking, and subscribing. Now roll that famous logo animation! Good evening and welcome back to Computerized Start Live. I'm your host, Justin D. Morgan, and my workbench has too much stuff on it. Partly because I set some stuff out last night for tonight's project, and then I forgot about the inevitable. The inevitable is sitting on top of the stuff for tonight's project. But anyways, we will get to all that in due time. Let's see who we have in the chat. We have Thomas Armstrong. Hi, Thomas. Beware the Acme Pizza Box. Sadmac356. Hi, Sadmac. Watch out for coyotes. Gupom Tech. Hi, Gupom. I am not late this time unless something really unexpected happens in the next 3 to 7 minutes. We have SJ. Good evening, SJ. We have Catbox, howdy, and welcome. And we have Splendid Con. Welcome. All right, like to welcome you all here. Notice we have some new faces in the chat. Let's see here. We got the coffee goal. Link is in the description. Oh, it's Callan. All right, I will try to remember that. Remember, YouTube has, for some reason, started showing handles and not names. I should probably reach out to Team YouTube, as much good as that will probably do. But anyways, no worries about that, Sadmac. Sadmac was slightly late because I was fixing dinner. Yes. All reaching out to Team YouTube will do is probably check a box that said, well, I let YouTube know that I find it annoying. They'll probably just, yeah. Gupom says, it's not a bug, that's just what they're doing now. Well, I would like to let them know that, that maybe they intend to do it, but it's not an appreciated change. I don't know why they're hiding channel names. Anyways. As I said, I'll let Team YouTube know my opinion on the matter, and I will probably get no response, just like the PlayStation video that has a claim that I used a song that I didn't use on it. The video is still up. I think the way I'm going to fix the problem is, if you want to watch my live stream where I repaired some PlayStation 1s, you should probably do it in like the next week or two, because that live stream I'm probably going to unpublish after it's been up a month. Because the claimant doesn't own the sound I played either. Jesse says, feature, hi. Jesse, I8386SX. I don't normally take live streams down, but this one, since Universal Music Group thinks I played one of their songs, and I did not. But that's because their artist sampled the Sony PlayStation startup sound and put it in their song. So, of course, Content ID matched it. And there's no way to file an appeal to YouTube with the reason being it's an incorrect match. I shouldn't have to appeal to Universal Music Group when I didn't play their song. Anyway, so, yeah, that live stream will probably get unpublished after a month. because the claimant doesn't own the item they matched. Sony does. I'm going to unlist it out of principle. Because I ain't going to risk a strike to, well, actually, I did already try to appeal, and the system, it didn't submit. So, Jesse says, I took 2 live streams of mine down, but for a very different reason. Yeah, well, in this case, I'm going to take it down out of principle, because, like, okay, I tried to submit an appeal. The system didn't take it. Fine. It's going to stay up for a month, and then it'll be unpublished, and if maybe I ever figure out a way to appeal it on the grounds of it's an incorrect match, which theoretically would, and probably the reason they don't do that is because that's something a human would actually have to review. So, yeah. That's probably why they don't have that appeal option, because a human would have to review it. Yeah, Sadmax says, yeah, it's a little ridiculous having to try to appeal to UMG that, no, that was the sound that they sampled, not the song you matched. Yeah, exactly. All I can think of is Sisyphus pushing the rock up the hill. Speaking of things that aren't as futile, I did get one of those really cool ceramic box openers, so, and I bought the pink one so that hopefully I will still probably lose it on my workbench, but I mean, I had to try. Yeah, it's a new box opener. I'll show you, because we do need to first, before we get to the thing you think I'm going to go to, we have to go to things you all have sent me. And yeah, now you really do literally see that I have a pile of sound cards beside me for reasons. Anyways, we have this priority mailbox here from Garth Beagle. So, thank you, Garth. And yeah, this is one of those, I think, Slice brand box openers that has a retractable ceramic blade. And it is supposed to reduce the risk of cut injuries while opening boxes. It won't eliminate them, but it's supposed to reduce them. So, anyways, we have this, oh, what do we got here? We got a Garth Beagle sticker. Thank you, Garth. All right. Yeah, this big, huge box, and of course you all know there's something else in the box, especially if you were watching Dave's stream. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. And the Squawker sticker. This is a very sus item here. Jesse says mine was the opinions of mine about a person mentioned was dead wrong, so technically out of principle. Well, that would probably be another good reason to take a live stream down. And we have one of these double floppy drives that is broken. Yeah, I've edited live streams before because I said things I later regretted. One of which I believe I edited because Sadmax says I love that sticker. Yes. I think one live stream I edited out a section of was because I said something about I think I said something nice about a scammer. Because at the time I said it, I didn't realize that person was a scammer. I didn't have to take the whole live stream down, but that got edited out. Tom says, Computerized start where I say things I may later regret. Yeah, that does happen from time to time. All right, but anyways, this floppy drive Garth picked up from the pre-pile at VCF Midwest, I believe. It has a coil or something that is broken off, and this is the half of it that is left here taped. Jesse says, I valued the friendship far more than those 2 live streams. Yes, yep, I definitely understand. In this case, well, in my case where I edited out what I said, it's, well, I couldn't let what I said stand once I learned the person was a scammer. So, anyway, the reason why I asked, or why Garth sent this to me, after I kind of maybe half joke, sincerely, jokingly asked for it, is because this is actually the floppy drive that would have come in the Dell Netplex that I have. Complete with the fact that the mounting holes are actually down lower than a normal 5 1/4 inch drive. And one of the things I wanted to do, because I don't have the mounting bracket for a 5 1/4 inch drive, I wanted the drive so that I could see how the original drive probably mounted, so that maybe I can model a new bracket or get help in modeling a new bracket. But the first thing, if I'm even going to attempt the project, getting measurements would be important. So I will also try to repair this drive. But I also wanted it so that I could take measurements, both of the drive and the case, to try to figure out how the original drive mounted, and then possibly even make another variant of the mounting bracket so you could put a standard drive in the case, a standard drive that has the mounting holes more in the middle, because it looks like you would at least still be able to line up screws on the lower screws, because I think on a standard drive the mounting holes are going to be more probably in between these 2 holes. In fact, if no, I don't have a CD-ROM drive handy. Okay. I was going to say if I had a CD-ROM drive handy, I would hold them up. But anyways, so thank you, Garth, for sending this along. It does look like this drive originally came out of an IBM, but this, from the one picture I did find of the Netplex, I think I did find a picture where it had the floppy drive, or it didn't have the floppy drive in the case, but it had the bezel for the floppy drive in the case. It appeared to be that this Canon floppy drive that originally came in it. So now that I have the original floppy drive, hopefully I'll be able to get some measurements, and maybe we'll get a mounting bracket for the case, because it looks like you need rails to mount the drive in the case. So thank you, Garth. Hopefully I'll be able to get something whipped up so that even if it's not this floppy drive that I mount, maybe we'll at least have a bracket design out there. Because it looks like the bracket would have been a really weird shape originally. So, all right. So there we go. Probably to repair that, I'm going to probably have to find a picture of the original, probably have to find a picture of that floppy drive where you can see the circuit board. All right, and now I think you all know approximately what is about to happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our favorite segment, Wheel of Regrets. Here's your host, Justin D. Morgan.
Hey, who comes up with these titles anyway?
And this first potential regret comes to us from an eBay seller in Illinois. So, hi to all my eBay sellers and viewers in Illinois. This package, actually, I believe, I want to say this one might have arrived Friday. Because I seemingly remember, or no, or maybe it was Garth's package arrived Friday. There was one package I got. It had snowed. I was not expecting any mail delivery, and yet the post office delivered a package. So it might have been this eBay purchase. All right, plastic store bags. It's actually not the worst packaging. It's actually, they put enough in it. Jesse says, if you bought that after Sunday, it might be packed with rage. I think this I had well before Sunday. So this item, yes. We have a very classic item. It is a sound blaster. Because as I think LGR might mention, or maybe it's DOS Storm, sometimes you have to blast the ear holes with sound. And I don't remember. The buy it now price on this, I think it was under what they normally go for. I do find it weird that they did have to put labels on the chips to probably hide the fact they're Yamaha chips. But anyways, this card does have the sockets pre-installed for the Creative Music System upgrade. So I do have the GAL equations for the GAL, and I think I've got some of the SAA 1099s. Because I have another similar card, but it's the in fact, it is the same card, but it's QuickShot branded. So Creative made the card for QuickShot. So now it wasn't my intention to necessarily have two of the same card, but I have plenty of computers that have 8-bit buses, so, and this has the Creative Music System, so, yeah. So anyways, at some point, and I'll probably do a video on it, I'll program a GAL and install some 10.8 SAA 1099s, because I believe when I bought the SAA 1099s for the first card, I think I bought 5, and the first 2 I pulled off the package were both good, so theoretically I have 3 more. So as long as 2 more are good, we're good. That's a, I don't know if I necessarily need to, verbally answer that question. But I'll just point to something that's slightly off camera right now. But I hope you all realize that sometimes I do things out of nostalgia, and actual creative sound cards are nostalgic. Scott Bomb was going to offer his spare if I didn't. Yeah, also, the other thing is I was tempted to buy another one because of Joe's sale. But yeah, remember I said I had a pile of sound cards beside this computer. Yeah, that one jumped in the pile for some reason. But this is kind of my quandary. I respect modern recreations of old sound cards that you can't buy. But in the same vein, I am somewhat nostalgic. And sometimes I just want the feel and sound of the original product. Call me crazy. Yeah, I mean, you all probably knew I was crazy. Call me crazy, but sometimes I buy original sound cards. Sometimes I buy original sound cards and then upgrade them and then eventually sell them when I decide I have too many. But anyways, this next item comes to us from an eBay seller in Michigan. Thomas Armstrong says, in old caps and sound, yeah. So, hi to all my eBay sellers and viewers in Michigan. This item comes to us from their nostalgic category, I believe. I mean, I hope you all realize I'm not trying to undercut what Ian's done with the Pico Gus. It's just sometimes nostalgia wins in my brain. Oh, Gut Bomb says I just want something else to put in the box with my Unreal Vortex too. I mean, if a spare, I mean, if a Pico Gus happened to show up, I'm not going to like not use it. I just also like to have real sound cards to throw in the mix. Yeah, Jesse says Brandon Bishop approves of the nostalgic views. You'll come up with something good to put in there. All right. And no worries. I don't need that card back immediately, so hopefully I'll give you some time to think about it. But this also goes in some people might think I'm crazy for buying them, but I bought a set of these little computer case LED number 7-segment display dealy dads. But wait, there's more. Call now in the next 10 minutes. I want a giant pile of bad Apple II floppies. What was the pile of bad floppies I went through the other day not good enough? I mean, seriously, I don't know if y'all didn't see my live stream where I repaired a floppy drive for my 2SI and then went through an entire box of these discs, and this is the only one that didn't have any bad sectors. And quite honestly, I'm not sure it's really a great disc because this plastic shutter likes to catch on the floppy drive, but at least it doesn't have any bad sectors. The seller had 2 lots of those 7-segment displays for computer cases. So, because I've got some cases that are missing their 7-segment display. In one case, at least in one case, it's the cheaper version of the case that I don't think ever had it in the first place. So, SJ says, I've had bad luck with Nashua and verbatim discs lately. Oh, hey, Garth, welcome. Oh, yeah, Garth, got your floppy drive, opened it 2 boxes ago. Thanks a bunch. Them floppies are all good, yeah. I mean, many are bad, but some are good, yeah. Anyway, so there we go. Case speed numbers. Because it makes the computer feel like it's going fast. And then finally, from an eBay seller in Pennsylvania, in eBay packaging. And for once, it's not a priority mailbox inside of the eBay envelope. I got another one of those Kuwell add-on cards. Although in this case, it's just the parallel port card. So there we go. It's a parallel port card. Nothing fancy. Garth says that box brings back so many mom and pop computer stores memories. Yes, that's kind of why I picked this up, because it was, Garth says there were so many in San Jose. Yeah, I bet. kind of why I picked this up, because it looked like it was new old stock. Not a guarantee the card's going to work, but hey. Alright, so I guess without further ado, we've got the Roadrunner PC. So, alright, so I've got a few things setting out here, and at some point I may put my slightly thicker gloves on for a little extra warmth. It is 50.7 degrees Fahrenheit in my basement. I do have my heater at my feet, and this weekend I am going to go buy a new space heater to add a little more general warmth around my workbench. So, yeah, because the space heater I was using last winter, it lasted like through the winter, and then it seemed like the heating element was burning out. So I'm going to this weekend go get another space heater. But anyways, so I pulled out a few things on the bench just so I could save some time, since I start live streams on Thursdays at 9 instead of 8. So from the 286 board that Dave sent me, you might remember when we last looked at that board, I had this Etherlink 3 network card. I have the XT IDE Universal BIOS programmed, and this card configured for an IDE channel. I think the card that I had in that computer was using the standard configuration for the primary IDE port. So I think, hopefully we'll just be able to plug this card in and we'll have XT IDE Universal BIOS. I have the compact flash card that has DOS pre-installed and DOS bench, so we can run some utilities and diagnostics. I would like to see if the math coprocessor works, see what speeds the diagnostics think they're running at, things like that. So that will hopefully let us get running off of some storage device sooner than if I had to set it up again. All right. I do have, because I would prefer not to have to buy another i287XL, because I did have this for a certain project. I did realize that I have a 28710. So this is the 10 megahertz part, or at least so it's labeled. I mean, this might be a relabeled part. But then again, this might be a part I bought in the late 90s, early 2000s. I can't remember when I picked this up, because early college me, late high school me, bought some vintage things on eBay that were like dirt cheap at the time. I do remember buying some like old processors and old math coprocessors. So this might be one I've had for so long that this may actually be an original chip. I can't tell. It doesn't exactly look repainted. It is ceramic. So this may be one I've had, although this could be one I bought on eBay. But anyways, this is a 10 megahertz processor, so this would be the correct math coprocessor to run at full clock. So I did grab that. I had that in the Chips and Technologies board that Dave sent me, because it only has an 8 megahertz processor, so I was going to get an 8 megahertz, standard 8 megahertz 287 for it. This is for one of my Emerson PCs that's not booting at the moment, which we may get to later this December. I would like to try to figure out why that Emerson PC won't post. Because actually I have two 286 Emerson PCs that won't post. Don't worry, it's not the talking 286. The talking 286, as far as I know, is still functional. It's a different 286 that's decided not to post. So I've got that. I pulled all that out. I also, because this board only has 1 megabyte of RAM on it, although I am less hopeful this is going to work, I did also grab the RAM pad card. Now, when I used this in the other 286 board, the one that Dave sent me, Nutbomb says, I missed the talking 286. I may just have to pull that one out for fun later this December. Garth says, the combo of green gloves and red sleeves gives you strong Santa vibes. Yeah. We had our holiday luncheon today, and unfortunately, we had what we call Goodie Day in engineering yesterday, so I'd already worn my ugly Christmas sweater t-shirt with my green long sleeve shirt underneath it yesterday, and then this morning I was like, the holiday luncheon's today, so I'm just wearing my red Mario shirt. But yeah, strong Santa vibes. But anyways, I'd like to see what this card does in this computer, because it would be nice to have a little bit more than 1 megabyte of memory, but there might be something wrong with this card. So I wanted to try it in another 286 that actually has the same chipset, and we'll see what Checkit says about if I run a memory test on it. Now, if it also reports errors in this motherboard, then we'll probably have one more. I probably will try one more motherboard with this card, but I'll pick one that has a different chipset, just in case this card is not compatible with this chipset. Jesse says, remember, if you don't wear your Christmas sweater, you're not a team player. Management. Garth says, I had that exact Rampat box card. Yeah. So anyways, we're going to give this a try. So I pulled it out. This is kind of why I went ahead and grabbed this card that's already set up, so we can actually maybe get to the meat of the testing, as opposed to me fiddling with XTIDE Universal BIOS. I think one of the videos on my backlog of videos that's horribly backed up, I do want to do a video on XTIDE Universal BIOS. Not so much the what it is, because I think there's enough information out there on what it is, but I would like to kind of do a video on setting it up and like things to watch out for, because I have a few motherboards that you can't just simply take the standard build and it'll work. So I kind of wanted to go through do the setting it up more in the when it doesn't work scenarios of these weird motherboards. Just kind of the what you want to watch out for and what you might need to try to get it to work. Now, that's not the case on this motherboard. This motherboard's totally fine with the stock AT large build, so no worries there. But I do have a couple of, in fact, I think they're all Turbo XT boards where you got to do something special or they won't work. But anyways, that's a video on my queue. I doubt I'll get to it this month because I'm struggling to even get the videos I wanted to do this month done. But that is one I want to do. But tonight, I didn't want to fool with XTIDE Universal BIOS. And then finally, because I know you see the stack of cards here, and I've already alluded to the fact that I have a Pico Gus, because I have a feeling, as much as I said that I like doing this for the nostalgia, and I totally respect what the Pico Gus does, but kind of my brain gets wrapped around the axle in terms of, is this nostalgic or not? I have a feeling I'm probably going to end up putting the Pico Gus on this computer, only because it can do, you can also emulate Sound Blaster and the Creative Music System on one card, and it does IDE drive emulation. Because the thing is, I don't think there's any way I'm going to be able to put a CD-ROM drive in this computer, but there are a couple CD-ROM titles that you can play on a 286, I believe. So, but I don't want to discount the other cards that I've gone and pulled out, but I have a feeling I'm probably going to go with the Pico Gus in this computer just because of the flexibility and the fact that it's also a small card. And you can, although the one thing I wish the Pico Gust did, I'm sure at some point it probably will. I wish it supported a few more gamepads, because I don't necessarily want to have to use a PlayStation 4 gamepad on a 286. But, I mean, at least that is an option. So, anyways, I have a feeling this is probably what I'm going to go with, just because it'll let me emulate a couple sound cards, and you can change them on the fly without having to open the computer. Not that this computer's hard to open to get to the expansion cards, but it is pretty flexible. It would let me do things with this computer I couldn't normally do. However, I did want to at least give... hey, Any Bit Fever Dreams. Hi, Michael. Michael says, long live the Pico Gust. Yes. But I did not want to necessarily exclude the potential that I might have a vintage sound card that in some way, shape, or form, or function, or fit, just fits this computer way better. So I grabbed a few random sound cards that might get tried. And they are in no particular order. I've got an Advanced Logic ALS 120 sound card. I am trying to remember. Advanced Logic was, I think, eventually bought by someone else. I forget who it was. I don't know. Was it Realtek or... yeah, I don't remember who it was, but I kind of looked this up or figured this out a week or two ago, or noticed something, because I kind of wondered why Advanced Logic just suddenly disappeared. And I think they got acquired by someone else, or they rebranded or something. I'd have to go find that article again. But anyways, so we got an Advanced Logic ALS 120. I think technically this is a plug-and-play card. So this may really be too new for a 286. Trying to find a date. Oh yeah, this is a I think 1998. So this may be really kind of too new. Gutbomb says 3M and M&M's merged to become, get this, Ultradyne Systems. Anyways, this one may be really too new for this computer, but it was just randomly selected. I didn't want to I didn't want Opti to feel left out, so I grabbed this random Opti sound card. It does have an advantage. It has a second IDE channel. For if I was to find a way to squeeze a CD-ROM drive in this computer, but I think most CD-ROM drives are just too long. I think they potentially would conflict with the power supply. This card, I think, is from about 96. So again, oh, Gutbomb says that one was for Jesse. Again, this one may be kind of too new for a 286 system, because I think it is also technically plug and play. But I mean, Unisound would let me configure it. And quite honestly, it's got, I think both those cards have Sound Blaster emulations, so it's not like we would have no way of using it. Let's see here. This sound card is more from 94. It is an ESS audio drive based sound card. Now, this one does have jumpers. This one is not. It's like probably one of the last non-plug-and-play ESS sound cards. It's the ES... '868, I believe it is. And it does have a real OPL on it. There's a Yamaha OPL 3 chip. Again, this one might be a bit too new for a 286, and it also does have the added disadvantage of that it might actually be too long to use because there's only three slots in the computer that you can put a full-length card in, but I have enough cards that need to go back in the computer that this one may just be excluded because it's too long. Oh, hey, Sylvestron, welcome. Sylvestron says, love the Christmas glove sleeve theme. Yes, it was totally unintentional for live stream purposes, but our holiday luncheon was today. And then I did know that this card was going to be sitting on the bench. This is that Sound Blaster 2.0 card. So we might try it as well. But kind of the reason why I did want to try a few sound cards is because I think a Gravis ultrasound card is kind of... I mean, maybe this is an unpopular opinion to some, but I think kind of newer than a 286. I don't know if there were any 286 games that would have used the Gravis ultrasound, because that was more like, I think, well, I don't know if that's necessarily an opinion or just a fact of when the Gravis ultrasound came out. I was kind of thinking in terms of, if I'm putting a sound card in this computer that is, like, reasonable that someone that was running this computer might put in the computer, would it be a Gravis ultrasound? And I kind of kept coming back to no, it probably would not be a Gravis ultrasound, because, well, first of all, I don't know how many games that would be compatible with the 286 supported the Gravis ultrasound. And the other problem is, many of the older Gravis ultrasounds were long cards. Only these first 3 slots can have long cards in them, because the drive cage, which is somewhere around me, I don't know where I set it, but the drive cage does stick out into this part of the case, which precludes a long card in this area. But kind of that would be one reason, though, why I might use a Pico Gus to emulate one of the other sound cards that may be more of a more era appropriate to a 286. Hey, Jean. Jean-Francois, thank you. Welcome. I try to remember names, and when I only get handles, has to be an early Sound Blaster and Adlib for 286 to be era appropriate. And hello, yes. So, anyways, so I don't want to exclude. So, I guess that's a long story short, that the Pico Gus does have the distinct advantage that it can emulate several era appropriate sound cards. It also has the advantage that it is short enough that I can install it in this computer and it will not block the drive bays. Although I believe that 16-bit cards do fit. But I don't know that there's much room past the end of the slot for a 16-bit card. So, alright. Yeah, we got over the sound cards and the other things that we're going to try to do tonight. I did come downstairs last night. The other reason I came downstairs last night was to take care of the power supply because it was very dusty and I wanted to take it somewhere other than my workbench to dust. And although it is not completely dust free, it is certainly clean enough that it's clean enough that we can use it some. At some point, I'll probably recap it, and that would give me the opportunity to clean it the rest of the way. Because although some of these caps are really high quality, some of these caps are also not really the high quality brands. And just based on how dusty this was, I know this got a lot of use. So, anyways, this is the part that's probably wasn't that as dusty, although it certainly had dust on it. It's the other half of the power supply that's probably where you can tell that I did some serious dusting, because the fan blades are no longer caked with dust. Now, the one thing I didn't do last night, because I figured I would do it tonight, was I did not I didn't take this label off to oil the bearing, but so just the way this label is, I'm going to see if I can just lift the label up. But I have a feeling this label, I'm going to probably just have to, not that you'll see this label on the outside or anything, but it is kind of handy to know what the original fan was in case I ever do need to replace it. Especially because this does seem like it's one of those higher airflow fans. Ah, there we go. Oh. Oh, that's weird. I don't know what that is. Looked like a little ring of something, but I don't. All right. So, anyways, let's. So this is just some sewing machine oil. And there we go. Put a couple drops of that in there. We'll I'll start to spin the fan. And as I suspected, that it's not going to stick on its own. So let me grab some. Looking to see if I can find my Captain tape, just to kind of tape that down, because then at least it. I mean, it's not clear, but at least it's transparent and you can still read the label. Again, in the event that I'd ever have to replace the fan, at least I can see what fan it is. Oh, there it is. Because then I'd be able to see it's a super ultra max flow DC brushless. Not that that would necessarily give me, or not that that would necessarily let me look the fan up nowadays, because it's quite possible there's no data sheet surviving for this fan. But it does have the voltage on it, which is another helpful thing to have. And at least I would remember that it is a DC fan. And it probably should go without saying that you shouldn't be opening up a power supply and working on it if you don't know what you're doing. I do it on stream for entertainment purposes only. This is not a how-to video. So, yeah, there are dangerous voltages inside. Now, obviously, I have this power supply unplugged. Because, in fact, the fan is unplugged from the other board, so there's no power to it. But if I were to plug it in, then there are some of the parts inside that could have dangerous voltages on them. So, if you don't know what you're doing, respect the no user serviceable parts inside warning. And I would recommend, if you don't know what you're doing, to go find one of those authorized personnel only. And it's also really cool that Sylvester has got oh no, it's Jesse that's got some new stock in. All right, awesome. Oh no, it is Sylvestron that's got new stock in. I couldn't see the whole chat there. Yeah, okay, yeah, it's I was yeah, as Jesse says, unauthorized personnel proceed at your own risk. So, anyways, I put some Captain tape on the original label. It's really just to mainly try to hold the label on, because the label is what holds the rubber seal around the bearing. The label helps hold that in, and the rubber seal is what keeps the bearings lubricated. And I'm really not sure this Captain tape is going to stick to this fan, but we'll see. If this Captain tape isn't going to stick to the fan, then I will probably just well, may have to use packing tape to make it clear, but I don't know how. Oh, actually, that might be sticky enough. Okay. Okay. I think that might have it stuck down enough. I think the main thing is that the label's stuck down enough that it keeps the little rubber seal in place. I guess worst comes worst, I could glue it down. Oh, Sylvester wanted to ask how I went with those 3D printed, those LTE Elite latches. Actually, they printed fairly nicely. I need to ask. I keep forgetting to ask Brandon what color plastic he'd like them printed in. But yeah, I was able to print them. They look correct, but I don't have an LTE Elite that needs latches to try them. But I was hopefully I'll get some to Brandon and let him try them. But I just wanted to know what color he wanted them in. I don't think I've got plastic of the correct color, but I at least wanted to give him an option and of what he'd rather have. So, but yeah, they look really nice. Bright purple. Socket wrench says bright purple. Hi, socket wrench. Black to be closest to the original part. Ah, well, I did print them in black, but blue or something for more fun. Yeah, I'll ask Brandon what color he wants, but the actual latch is black. Okay. Well, I did print them in black, so hopefully I'll remember to I'll send Brandon a message and let him know that I did print them. So, but yeah, um, there we go. So there's that. But as much as so I did that, all for me to now go that. Oh, huh? Jesse says I just discovered the 450 that I verified that is also missing a latch. Oops. Yeah. Well, if I so it looks like I'm able to print the latches, and actually maybe while I'm running some benchmarks I'll go upstairs and grab them and at least show them off of how well they printed. Um and then I send some to Brandon and make sure that that my printer actually printed them and they actually are dimensionally correct. Then I don't we might have to see if there's a way we can make sure people can get latches if they don't have a 3D printer. After all, it would be nice if my 3D printer could somewhat pay for itself. Although, granted, with some of the things I've printed to fix things, it has actually already started to somewhat pay for itself. Oh, well, I do have it. Oh, Jesse, what I was saying, it's not that I don't have an LTE Elite. I don't have one that has broken latches, so I don't really have the desire to take it apart to replace latches that aren't broken. Um, Although, yes, I guess if I did find that I actually do have one with broken latches, then yes, I could test fit them. Um, Sylvester says maybe I could include a set with each W1D. Ha ha ha. Well, maybe. Well, Sylvester, maybe we can work something out for the case where someone needs latches, but they're not buying a W1D at the same time. And Jesse says, that I understand. Yes. Um, yes, there are just some things that you don't want to fix if they're not broken, and getting to the latches on an LTE Elite is one of them. So I did at least want to So what I am doing now is although I probably will use my ATX bench supply. I did at least want to make sure that there we go. I was at least going to make sure the fan sounds good and let the fan of this have a chance to work the oil in. But then just because it's not screwed in, I may switch to the ATX power supply so I can get to more things. But anyways, all right. So let's so this will be a combination of powering it up, making sure that my scalar's cooperating and everything. So 3, 2, 1. Oh. Well, that's lovely. That power supply is making a beeping noise. Oh, I bet I know what that is. Let me plug in the the LCD power. Yep, there we go. Okay. It's probably some coil whine or something because I didn't have the LCD panel plugged in. Because I was about to say I don't remember it. Oh, I don't have the controller card installed. Okay. All right, so we powered up. This power supply works. The fan. Actually, the fan is decently quiet and it is moving air. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, that's pretty good. Yeah, we'll use this power supply so we can. Unfortunately, I think I took my voltmeter upstairs. Embarrassingly. All right. So let's now do this. So I'm going to install the network card. And I'm going to install it. Here. I'm going to install it in this slot. And I'm going to install the controller card that came with this computer. Because ideally, I would like to use it if it works. So let me put the compact flash card. I want to say it goes like this. And we'll go ahead and plug the floppy cable in. Okay. So, let's see here. We'll plug power into the compact flash card adapter. Hopefully, we'll plug power into the adapter that's on the GoTech. We'll remove the USB cable because I don't need to boot from that. All right. And there we go. Now, I do believe I am going to need to go into setup here. Hold on. Oh, that's good. 2210. Oh, yeah, this is actually, so it's got a battery in it. That actually kept reasonable time since, Monday. Okay, that's good. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to unconfigure the hard drive we were trying to use Monday because it doesn't work. Sadmax says, Southern Hemisphere then, Sylvestron. There we go. XTIDE Universal BIOS. It sees our SanDisk card. And we are booting DOS. And for that, there we go. For that, I'm going to enjoy my cinnamon, my fireball from Console 5, because I did receive a cap kit today. Tasty. Also, it will help me enjoy how hot these benchmarks are going to be, starting with 3D Bench. Hot. All right. No need to rush. You have until the benchmark is done, assuming I don't cancel it due to boredom. But place your minutes per frame guesses in the chat. Actually, it would be frames per second, but there's not many of these benchmarks that'll run on a 286. This just happens to be one of them. It's Turbo one. Yeah, I believe Turbo is on. But we'll check. I should have probably run Landmark speed test first. Yeah, I should probably buckle my seatbelt because... Oh, there we go. Okay, we got a little speed boost now that it's not trying to draw the computer that's rotating in orbit, but... Also, I don't remember which video card I have in here, but it's... Jean Francois says, it's hypnotic at the speed, yeah. Jesse says, I had to go back and see if Justin was talking about Fireball the booze. He was not. Maybe if you order a whole bunch of caps from Console 5, they might include that Fireball, but I doubt it. Maybe they just include 2 of the candies. 3.9 frames per second. That is unbelievable, because that sure felt slower. Although I guess that is an overall benchmark, because that does not look like 3.9 frames right now. Alright. Alright, so I don't even know if PC. Alright. Let's run landmark system speed test to make sure we're in. Well, landmark says we have a 12 megahertz CPU. So it would appear as if the previous owner of this did overclock it slightly. Okay, that would match what I thought the jumpers were set to. It did appear as if they were set for 12 megahertz instead of 10. I mean, I might set it back to 10 megahertz just to extend the longevity of the processor, but then again, Sylvester says it's a 286. It's had a plenty long life. I mean, the processor is just maybe for a 286 a bit warmer than I would think it should be running. So I might clock it back to 10 megahertz because that is the rated processor speed. Gutbomb says longevity of a 286 in 2025 lol. Yeah, that's almost like me wanting to extend the longevity of a 2 Psi in 2025. Hence why I overclocked the thing. Oh wait, SpeedSys doesn't run on a 286. Let's see here. Check CPU does not run on a 286. I guess we do have landmark system speed test as the. Think about the only way of. Oh, we'll see what Checkit thinks about the CPU speed. Oh, I think all right, I think hardware info crashed it. So all right, we'll see what Checkit says. Oh, wait a minute. No. Hi, Dave. Welcome. All right, so let's see here. Benchmarks, main system. Interesting. Checkit thinks it's an 8 megahertz 286. Hmm. Capcom says it needs to check itself before it wrecks itself. And Landmark says it's 12 megahertz. Somehow, I think I'm more inclined to believe Landmark over Checkit. Landmark changed the font, so don't worry. That was just the where Landmark changed the font, nothing's changed it back. And now check it thinks it's 12 megahertz. Oh. Oh, wait a minute. Let me, okay, I know what I did. I hit Control Alt minus and Control Alt plus after the check it ran the first benchmark. I didn't hear the beep, but I just remembered I don't think the speaker's hooked up. So notice Control Alt minus, check it says 8 megahertz. I had pressed Control Alt plus before I ran Landmark. So it is running at 12 megahertz. I think when I did a warm boot, I think the BIOS defaulted it to 8 megahertz. But on the initial boot, it's set to high speed, so it booted at 12 megahertz. So yeah, there we go. There's our high speed. I mean, that's phenomenal math speed right there. 506.1 whetstones. I would like to put the 287, the non-XL version in, and see what the math speed is. The thing is, if I leave this at 12 megahertz, then I will need to leave my 287XL in it, because the 287XL is actually rated for up to 12.5 megahertz. My 28710, which I will temporarily try, is only rated for 10, although I have a feeling it probably will. I have a feeling it probably will overclock. Or it might overclock some. But if it doesn't, we'll set I think it's fairly easy to set this bus speed to 10 megahertz and try it. I think the 287 XLs usually go for like $30 to $40. The standard 287s go for about 15 to 20. I would kind of like to know what the possible speed increase might be. Because maybe they add enough extra speed that the price difference is worth it. Although, if I run this at 12 megahertz, then it would also be worth it just in the fact that the XL's rated for running at 12 megahertz, so I'm not overclocking. Actually, I should probably, for total fairness, let me reboot and skip the MS-DOS files. Hey Doc, welcome. And of course, I completely missed the opportunity and we'll have to reboot again. Oh, yeah, no problem for the links. Yeah, figured your Discord was the best way of giving you those links. Um, All right. So we are running at 12 megahertz. So this is the standard 287. Oh, wow. That's actually... So let's see here. So it was 506 whetstones with the 287 XL. Pulling out a calculator here. So let's see here. It's about 506. I think it's 506.1. Let's see, divided by... let's see, that's 368.6. That's a 1 point... That's basically 1.4 times the speeds. That's like 40% better performance. Maybe I should just go for the 287 XLs for systems that are compatible with it. I do have at least one 286 that does not... It's not compatible with the 287 XL. Or what I should probably say is, you get a post error if you have the 287 XL installed, because it seems like the BIOS is actually checking and shaming you for buying the fancier coprocessor. Or possibly because the BIOS is kind of not expecting it to reply as fast. It could be that whatever check it does to see if it's working, it responds too fast, and the BIOS has some sort of timing check, a la IBM's timing check on the XT and AT. Yeah, that's like 40% better performance out of the 287 XL over the 287. Although I shouldn't be too surprised, because what the 287 XL is the 287 XL is a 387. It's basically the 387 SX in a 287 package. So you get the more efficient operation of the 387, and I do believe that the extra, because I think the 387 added some extra math functions, I believe you do get those as well. So that actually right there might be the closest I can come to showing you what the generational jump of math coprocessor performance was between the 287 and the 387. And that's only because Intel released the 287 XL. I don't think they did anything similar for any other platform, other than you could almost argue that maybe the Rapid CAD upgrade. Well, I guess that would technically be maybe another case where they did release a better math coprocessor for an older platform. Although Rapid CAD was actually, I think, a 487 or a 486 for a 386DX motherboard, I believe. So yeah, I think that's what Rapid CAD basically was. A 486DX for a 386DX motherboard. I guess that was the one other case where Intel released something for better math performance. Anyways, I think that's kind of cool. I mean, you also can't argue the 287 XL looks cooler, because as far as I know, all the 287 XLs were ceramic chips with the gold pins and the gold, presumably that's kind of a gold metal cover over where the math coprocessor chip actually is. They do look really cool. This one's kind of scratched up, so it's not in the greatest of shape, but yeah, so that's the 287XL. It's basically a 3D7 SX for a 287 motherboard. Anyways, I mean, kind of cool what companies did for the CAD markets. I mean, granted, if you were buying a computer out of memory, oh, um, oh, I guess interesting. All right, let me let DOS start normally, and then we'll try check it again. The memory test and check it. I have a feeling it needs to be able to relocate into extended memory to run the test. I sure thought it could run in. All right, well, looks like letting himem.sys and emm3d6 fix the problem. All right, so let's say we're going to change, run that. Quick memory test only, no. Still only one pass, and run the memory test. All right. So I just want to see if the memory on this motherboard is good. I don't have any reason to think it's not, but it is like, what, 35-year-old RAM probably? And I think I'm going to put the 287XL back in this computer. I think it's proven itself worthy, and actually I'm inclined to just leave this thing clocked at 12 megahertz. I guess worst comes to worst, if the processor fails because it's being overclocked, I'll put another. I'm sure I could get a 286s are everywhere on eBay. In fact, there's a lot of I think there's a lot of sellers that have the Harris like 20 megahertz 286s, because I think Harris made those made boatloads of the CMOS process 286s for, because they were on all sorts of controller cards and other embedded systems. In fact, somewhere I have at least one hard drive controller, possibly two, that have 286s on them, because they're like accelerated disk controller cards. So yeah, so I'm just gonna leave this thing clocked at 12 megahertz. It's a little speed boost. It's just a plastic leaded chip carrier version of the 286, so it'd be easy to replace if overclocking causes it to fail. Now, if it were a ceramic leaded chip carrier version, then I would be running it at clock speed, because those are harder to come by. But yeah, the PLCC ones are, it's replaceable. Yeah, Jesse says reclocking regret. Yeah, and there's always the possibility that I'll realize there's some other reason the system was overclocked. So unless I find an instability for overclocking it, then I'm just gonna leave it. So we'll let this run, and then I will put the RAM-PAT card in and configure it, and then we'll see we'll run memory test on it. And then that will let me have an idea of what I will need to fit back in this computer very carefully. But yeah, I'm gonna put the 287 once this runs. When I put the RAM pack card in, I'll put the 287 XL back in, and we'll leave. I don't want to overclock my 287 because I have a system that I can put it in that I think's clocked at 8 megahertz, so technically it'll be underclocked, but at least I won't have to buy a 287 for it then. I mean, hey, I might buy a 287 XL for that system. I might buy 287 XLs for all my 286s eventually, but I'm going to make sure they work before I buy one for them, just because they are like 30 to 40 bucks. But I think I do see that, yes, they do give you a nice speed boost in math coprocessor function. But yeah, I'd like to let this computer have a little more RAM so it's a little more useful. Because how much RAM I can put in it successfully will probably determine final sound card decision, although it'll probably be the Pico Gus. Because I'm probably going to need to stick it in a place where it won't have much depth capability. Because of the original cards that came out of the system, I do need to put back. So this card will have to go back in, but it will take the place of the VGA card I have in now for capture convenience. Because this is the original CGA card that does have the header on it for the LCD panel. So this card's got to go back in. I would like to put this card back in because it's got a serial and a parallel port, so that I'd be able to use a serial mouse. Because I don't necessarily want to have to buy a new card for it. However, I will, I'm not going to put the modem back in. That'll free up a slot for a sound card. Because I'm at least going to make it somewhat useful for me now. And a really weird system to play games on is more useful than having a 2400 baud modem in it. And I'm also not going to put the ArcNet card back in because I'm going to put the Etherlink 3 in its place so I can have so that I can have a network card that you can actually use and have the XTIDE boot ROM, because I have nothing that could communicate with ArcNet. In fact, that's the only ArcNet card that I have that I'm aware of. I guess there's always the possibility I've picked another ArcNet card up and just haven't realized it yet. Now, if it comes to, well, actually, since this controller card works, then yeah. Yeah, it looks like I, by not installing reinstalling the modem, I will have a free slot for a sound card. In fact, I should have a free slot when I'm done. Let's see here. Because I'm hoping that I'll be able to put that RAMPAT card in now. We'll see if it works. I'm kind of concerned that it may have a fault on it, but now if I needed to free up a slot for the RAMPAT card, I could get a multi-IO controller card. so that I'd at least have a serial and a parallel port on the same card as the floppy and hard drive controller. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I do have such a card handy right here, just in case. Now, you might see that it's got a ROM socket, but the boot ROM for this card is not the ROM that it needs is too it only supports one size of ROM, and it's just too big for XTIDE. And besides, I think that card has a problem when you're using boot ROMs, so I'll still need the network card for the XTIDE BIOS. But if I did need to go down to one card for disk controllers and a serial and parallel port, most importantly the serial port, then we'll use that card. But I'm hoping that I can put most of the original cards back in, just simply swapping out, or I'm hoping to reuse as many of the original cards as I can, short of a better network card so I can use its boot ROM and could actually network it if I wanted to, and then swap the modem for a sound card. But we'll see. Because I think there was a free slot, so I'm hoping the Rampat card works. And anyways, I guess the other nice thing about this case is actually fairly easy to get to the expansion card, so if I put something in this case and need to borrow it later, that's not a big deal. So, because I think three screws, and yes, I did find the screw that I dropped, because I dropped one of the screws to hold the case on. The trade-off was I've now lost one of the screws that'll hold the power supply back together, but I'm pretty sure one missing screw is not going to be a detrimental. But yeah, so hopefully we'll get a nice combination here. So yeah, once this finishes, which hopefully it's finishing up the extended memory tests, and then I think it'll run the high address lines test. And then we'll put the Rampat card in, which I'm hoping... actually, while we wait for this to finish, let me check to make sure I actually left some sims in the Rampat card. Yes, I did. I think it's the original 2 megabytes that came with it when I bought it on eBay. So, all right. So let's see here. So that passed. All right, let's all right, so let's do this. All right. So first, just so I can finalize my math coprocessor selection. Oh, I did want to see. Oh, actually, that's not too terribly warm. Oh, actually, while I remove this, fun fact I found yesterday. Hardware hacker mentioned a game to me on Discord, and I just was happening to look something up about the game. It was Star Trek: A Final Unity. Star Trek: The Next Generation: A Final Unity. And I discovered a fun fact about that game, that it was apparently one of the first games to require a math coprocessor. Now, I think there were a number before it, but just because of how few games um, before the Pentium required a math coprocessor, that apparently it is among one of the first games, despite the fact it came out in I think '94. It is among one of the few first games to require a math coprocessor. Which for '94 was still unusual. Although I do believe SimCity might have been one. Um, although I although I don't know that SimCity required the math coprocessor so much as it could use it if you had it. And also, though, I do believe though that you could still run Star Trek: A Final Unity without one, but it would be. Um, there are some people online that say that you can still run it without one, but it'll be the performance will go down. All right, let's see here. So I'm all right. So I'm going to move this power supply out of the case, only because I don't want it to fall on the Rampat card. All right, because I'm going to put the Rampat card here. No. Oh, actually, I can put it here. There we go. No, it's not going in. All right, I think that. Um, Memory size error runs setup. Oh, hold on. Oh, actually, I need to do something here real quick. I need to take the Rampat card and I need to flip the switch to reset. There we go. And now back to normal because I need to configure the card for the system. Oh, we do have a memory. AB found AB55, expected AA55. Huh. Well, that does look like the memory error I was seeing earlier. So let's see here. Actually, I'm going to skip the boot and configure the card. Once I've configured the card, if we still have a memory error, then I'll D20229E. Although that does appear to be the same address each time, so all right. I want to configure the card though. I want to rule out that it's not a memory error due to not being configured. All right. So I should have the configuration utility here. All right. Config. So existing. I don't think that's right, but I don't know what's using extended memory right now, but all right, so let's go into BIOS. That number is, I don't know where it's getting that number. Oh, it must have memory verify error. Oh, it must have backfill. Let's run check it. In fact, I'm only going to run check it on the extended memory. And I'll let it run the quick test. I think it's going to find the memory error I was seeing earlier. Which means I probably need to find some more sims. So quick test only. Alright. Alright, let me see if I can find some additional parity memory sims. Because the RAM pack card requires parity memory. And I ordered some memory from Memory Masters the other day, and that order hasn't arrived yet because the postal service is taking longer to deliver packages from California these days. I mean, it might also be because I just used their standard shipping option, which was Ground Advantage, so that also might have something to do with it. All right, we do have an extended memory test failure. All right. So, all right. All right, let me see if I can find some parity sims. I didn't order memory for this card, if anyone's wondering. It was for other things, but I was kind of hoping it would arrive so that I could have try it in the Rampack card to see if it liked it. So Okay, so here's two Sims. I have no idea what size they are, or if they even work, because the computer that they were in, I've never seen it post. But they are parodies, so I mean, the worst that's going to happen is I'm going to get a memory error. Um, yeah, okay, maybe, okay, maybe those Sims are, maybe those Sims aren't good. Okay. Yeah, it is the holidays. Okay, maybe those Sims aren't good. Maybe that's why that computer's not. I've never seen it post. Although, no, the person that came from would have tried memory. It's probably not memory. All right. Um, oh, that's right. Here we go. It's a whole 486 motherboards worth of parity memory. Granted, I don't know if it's good because that board doesn't post yet. I have the parts I think I need to try to fix it. But it does have 16 Sims on it, so theoretically maybe two of them are good. The reason why it doesn't post, I believe, is because it's got a bad bus transceiver chip. And the reason I believe it's a bad bus transceiver chip is because the legs of it are corroded. Well, that's a good sign. Okay, that would be really weird. Although not unprecedented when talking about old memory, but I didn't get a memory error this time, but let's see what check it comes up with. Memory. All right. Because I tried. So the card that was in the RAM pat when I got it from eBay, I was getting memory errors on it. And then I tried some 4 megabyte memory modules, that I got memory errors when I tried using them. But I currently have those memory modules in a computer that is passing memory tests. The doc says 640K of memory. That's got to be about $3,000 today. Yeah, seriously. Why? There we go. I hate to steal memory from this 486 board, but Sylvestron says it's darn too expensive. Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's DRAM too expensive. Yeah. All right. All right, let's change. I want to run all the memory tests. I'm trying to remember what I put the 4 megabyte memory modules in. That it oh, that's right. I've got a it's a little 386 DX40 motherboard processor soldered onto the board. It's the one that's got the 8 kilobytes of cache in the chipset. I know Adrian Black had one on his channel, and I just happened to spot this one on eBay at a downright reasonable price. I mean, okay, it's 8 kilobytes of cache. It's not earth shattering. Or is it 32K? It might be 32K of cache. I don't know. It's a fairly small amount of cache. It does it I mean it helps a little. I think the 40 megahertz processor part of it's probably more performance than the cache, but hey, it was cache in the chipset, so motherboard manufacturer didn't have to add external cache. But it wasn't a lot, so it's not like it was a screamer performer, but it was a low-end board. It was enough that they could sell it as a feature. Anyways, I think that's what I put the 4 megabyte sims in, and it liked it. It's possible that it's maybe... It is possible those 4 megabyte sims are too new for this Rampat board. Even though the Rampat documentation seems to indicate that 4 megabyte sims are supported, it is possible that maybe I've got the wrong revision of the card for that. Or maybe that maybe it doesn't support 4 megabyte sims on 286. Because the 286 processor does have a... I think the 286 processor is limited to a 16 megabyte addressable memory, so I don't know, maybe the Rampat card doesn't support 4 megabyte sims on 286. Or the card revision I have is older than the one that supports 4 megabytes. I don't know. There could have been a discrepancy. I mean, it's theoretically possible that maybe the Rampat card has an incompatibility with 60 nanosecond memory, because I think they were 60 nanosecond sims. Which for a 4 megabyte 30 pin sim is rather fast, but I think they were newer 4 megabyte sims, probably made at the end of the 30 pin memory era. Hi, Eric. Welcome. We have Eric's Edge here. I am running a memory test. It's running better than I imagined. Probably because I've discovered that I have some bad memory modules. Now it's bugging me what I did with that 386 board. Oh, that's. Oh, maybe that's. Yeah, I will eventually try to fix this 486 board that I'm stealing the memory from. Yeah, this 486 board, just if anyone's curious, because it's been a while since I've shown it. It's the one that I bought on eBay that had 16 SIM slots. So I snagged a couple of the memory modules that were on it, and the RAM pack card seems to like them. I think these are all 1 megabyte SIMs, but they're all parity. But if you can see this chip here, it's got corrosion on it. I think this is why the board won't post. Because I do know I did see activity on the board, but it was acting like only half the bus was working. But yeah, oh, I do see there's some other chips on here that have corrosion of some sort. The weird thing is, I don't think it's a battery leak, because this is one of those boards that has a clock module, but somewhere something has corroded a few of the chips. But at the moment, I'm borrowing memory from it. I guess for what I paid for this motherboard, it was like one of those. The seller was selling it as untested, and they basically priced it at a price where it was worth it for the 16 1 megabyte SIMs. Plus, I suspect the DX266 on it's good. Eric says it's called experience, not corrosion. Socket Wrench says, "Look, I'm tired and my jokes are terrible." Oh, I didn't see your. Socket Wrench says, with music notes around it, because I can't laugh, I can't talk. The only thing about me is the way my bits walk. That's actually pretty good. Eric says, "I'm experienced." Yeah, so that 486 board, if I'd like to try to repair it, it is interesting in that it has 16 SIM slots. But I also only paid an amount because the seller didn't want much. It was like one of those rare finds of, it wasn't a seller that knew what they had. It was, I think, a seller that knew what they had and priced it accordingly. And what they had was a board they couldn't test. And I think they sold it at a price that was... And I think they knew it only had 1 megabyte SIMs on it. And they priced it appropriately. And maybe I did buy it with the gamble that some of them were 4 megabyte SIMs. But still, it was priced at a price that, if all I got out of it was the memory modules and the processor, and it's got cache chips on it too. They're real cache chips. So if I paid an amount that if the only thing I get off of it are parts, then I didn't overpay. And it looks like at the moment, the RAM on that board will let me get this RAM pack card up and running for this 286. We'll see if the long test finds any problems, but it looks like it's coming in handy, or as the young'uns say these days, it's going to come in clutch. And I won't have to worry about the fact that, yeah, won't have to worry about the fact that I don't have my Memory Masters order, which would have some memory that they tested before they shipped. Now, I will spoil it for those of y'all that are watching now, though. Some of that memory in that order, though, is for my other Lunchbox computer. Because I do have a motherboard that I think will fit. So part of it is for the other Lunchbox computer so that I can put memory on the motherboard that I think I finally found that'll fit. And some of the memory in that order is for one of my Pentium Pro systems. And I would like to get around to at least one of those two systems in a live stream later this month. If not both. The third memory modules are for some Macintoshes. Which I may not get to this month, but I wanted to go ahead and order the memory because I'd already settled on what I needed for those Macintoshes, and one of them is on my sooner rather than later video queue, so I needed that memory so I can possibly wrap that video sooner rather than later. Sure, go for it, Doc. We're running a memory test. It's the best time to catch up on the chat. And of course, speaking of desoldering, I'm hoping that we'll have live streams at some point this month where I actually will have to try to repair something. All right. Jesse says, careful with that M word. Trina will appear. All right, so Doc asks, I'm planning to swap the switches on my keyboard, 110 of them. I saw a guy do it on YouTube with this loud desoldering gun thing. Is that worth the $400? That is a good question. And honestly, if the only thing you're ever going to desolder is that keyboard, I would probably have to say no to the $400 one. However, if you're planning to get into a cycle where you are going to be continuously repairing things, then I would say yes. Bite the bullet and get the $400. I'm presuming it's probably the Hacko, the blue one. The Hackos are very well made. And in fact, I will probably break down and get one of the Hackos once my the one I have just stops working. But it works, so I'm just limping along with it. There is a YouTuber. I don't It's Lee. He's got 2 channels. I don't remember which one he had it on, but he's got 2 channels. One's more fun making it, and the other one's more fun fixing it. He had a, I guess one of the clone versions of the Hako desoldering gun, which costs much less. And that one might be the one I would recommend if you're like only going to do a keyboard, because it will do the same thing, but you're not sinking in $400 to do a keyboard and then never use it again. But but I don't know how much you get to repair these days. So that would kind of be my thing. If you know you're going to be using it all the time, then break down, buy the Hako. They have replacement parts available. It's a quality tool. It'll last you a long time. And okay, Doc says it's around 2 times the price of the keyboard, and no, I don't see myself doing mass desoldering again in the future. Occasionally on random projects, but not like the keyboard ever again. All right, while we wait for this to run, let me see if I can find the model that Lee had. Because I might be able to actually find it on Amazon faster than I can remember which video he had it on. At least if I can find you an example link. Actually, oh, wait a minute. Is that really only... Oh, okay, that's, okay. I found one. I found a Hako one, and it was... It was a price way too low, and it's an imported one. If you had trouble with it, you might have trouble getting warranty service. So I couldn't, in my right mind, recommend that. All right, the only one thing you're going to want to watch on this, you might want to do a bit of research before you actually order it. Or maybe do a search on Amazon to see if there's a one that's rated for 60 hertz electricity. So there's an example of one that's more like $130, which probably for a keyboard would probably be that would be a happy medium, because then at least you're not manually desoldering. And that's also the one that I saw Lee have on his video. There's also... Oh, actually, here we go. Oh, actually, maybe this one's the one I would rather recommend for you. It looks like Amazon's got these back in stock. All right, let's remove that one. This is the one I have. It's $140. But I think I can I think I could recommend it and not have any qualms about the electricity rating of it. So any advice for how to make the manual version of this process go smoothly or painlessly? All right, so a couple things I can think of for if you do manual desoldering is Jesse says, I think that's the one Gut Bomb recommended. Probably is. So you might look at one of the cheaper desoldering gun stations, like the one that's still in the chat. It's $140. It definitely would make the process of the keyboard go much more smoothly. The time you save on desoldering 110 keys might be worth the $140. Plus, it would also be, if you did occasional desoldering, I think it would serve you well. Some other tricks that I've tried for desoldering that you might keep in mind if you want to just not go the vacuum, electric vacuum pump desoldering guns. I have also used one of these. This one's an Engineer brand. It's actually a metal. So this is actually aluminum, but this is one of the better manual suction pumps. Partly because it uses a silicon tube that's more heat resistant. So you can actually get the soldering iron in. So you can keep this close to the tip of the soldering iron and then activate it. So yeah, the SSO2. So this is also would be, if you're going to get one of these, I wouldn't recommend getting one of the plastic ones. I would just bite the bullet and get the Engineer SSO2. Another thing that you could consider is, although honestly it might make more of a mess than it's worth for a keyboard, is I have also, when trying to remove soldered components, I have used SMD removal alloy for through-hole parts, but the only problem with this stuff is you are going to go through a lot of solder braid wicking this up after you're done desoldering parts before you can then resolder. So for certain desoldering jobs, I could recommend this, but not one where you're desoldering key switches off an entire keyboard. But I thought I would add this. This is more for, you need to remove a single chip off a board. So yeah, Sylvestron says that one's much more comfortable in the hand than the bigger plastic ones. Got to be super careful about removing it afterwards. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's okay, Sylvestron. I get my emojis mixed up sometimes too. But yeah, and then there is also depending on how old the keyboard is, it's possible that you might just get away with a high quality solder braid. And I get the Gutwick. And actually, last time I ordered this, I ordered it from Amazon Japan so that I could get the big spool. That was before tariffs took effect, but that's how long these spools last. So I might be in trouble when I have to reorder this because the price will probably have gone up. But at least when I ordered this, it was $30. That included shipping because it had free shipping and it came straight from Japan. But this is one of the better wicks. Yeah. So for that keyboard, it's possible that the solder is fresh enough that with proper soldering iron temperature, a good wick might be all you need. But certainly the vacuum desoldering stations will make quick work of it. All right, good night, Eric. And that NSD station at $140 is probably a good trade-off between, because I've been using it for several years, so now granted, I've used it enough that I've had to replace the guns on it a couple times because the heater, yeah, that is my one complaint about the NSD station. So it has replaceable heater cores, but I am not joking. I have one of the replacement heater cores right here. It has like 4 white wires and a blue wire. And there are no instructions telling you which wire goes to where, because the wires in the handle itself are different colors. And yet the replacement heater cores, 4 white wires and a blue wire. It's almost like they just want you to buy a whole nother handle instead of repairing it, because you buy one of those and then swear off trying to repair it. Jesse says, I'm in trouble now with my 80 milliamp hours 2.4 volt batteries. Oh no. Yeah, Sylvestron says Chemtronics. Oh yeah, the Chemtronics solder braid. Okay. Or something equivalent available from DigiKey US. So hopefully, Doc, that kind of gives you an idea of some things to think about for desoldering, and feel free to ping me offline if you want. If you find something and want to know my opinion about it, if you kind of search for other models, because I don't know what desoldering gun that YouTuber was using that was $400. Doc says, heck yeah, it does. $140 is way more palatable. Yeah, that one, I kind of thought that would be it'll help you get the keyboard done quickly, and is still something you can use for other side projects. Because I know you do occasionally do repair side projects, so thought that one would work for you. Socket Rich says, I'd have to do a fundraiser for $140. Yeah, I feel your pain. I've been there before. So anyways, yeah, good little desoldering discussion while we waited for a memory test. So at least it does look like, so I'm, given that it's almost 11:30, I think I'm not going to try to add 2 more megabytes and run another memory test. I'll settle for 2 megabytes now, and maybe on Dave's stream or something, I'll go through the sims on this board to find 2 more megabytes. Because the cool thing, if I have 2 more megabytes of memory, then I think with 2 megabytes of memory, I think there's a couple games I could run. Granted, I may have to, some of them might actually need EMS memory instead of XMS memory. But I could use EMM386 to emulate EMS memory. Although I think the Rampat card does support EMS memory as well, if I can figure out how to configure it. The auto-configure utility doesn't give me the chance to specify, but maybe there's a command line parameter I have to pass that I don't know of. Savostron is asking, did we get the hard drive working? Might have missed that at the start of the stream. Oh, I forgot to mention... I did mean to summarize that for anyone that didn't see the hard drive part of Monday night stream. No, I didn't get the hard drive working. So the hard drive spins up. It seeks. It sounds normal. I mean, it sounds like a healthy drive. But I cannot get it. I cannot successfully run fdisk. Yeah, Sylvester says, typical Mac store. So the weird thing is, fdisk runs, it sees the drive, tells me there's no partitions. It lets me create the partition, and I don't get any errors during the process. It's like Fdisk thinks it worked. And this is DOS 622, so I thought it was a new enough version of DOS that it was a fairly robust version of Fdisk. I guess not. Anyways, Fdisk thinks it worked, but you reboot the computer, go to format the C drive, and invalid drive specification. You go run Fdisk, and there's no partitions on the drive. So it's like the drive is either not writing correctly or not reading correctly, or I don't know. It's like a really weird problem. Yeah, it's possible that version of Fdisk is not validating that the write actually completed. Jesse says Mac Store, going to Mac Store. Yeah, I'm thinking that in all reality, there's probably a problem with the heads of the drive, and that's why I needed to go to XTIDE and a compact flash card. Because, all right, so I got 2 megabytes of memory on this card. Jesse says, I had an LTE 286 that did that. That was the hard drive controller, though. Well, I'm actually using the same hard drive controller as the Mac Store, and we're actually running, so I'm pretty sure it was the Mac Store drive. So that's good. We've got, let's see here. We should have like, I don't know. I do not know what is using a megabyte of XMS memory. That is the weird part. It's almost like, oh. All right. Modules below 1 megabyte. Well, that all makes sense. I'm wondering if EMM 386 is actually love to TSR on you. Free. No upper memory available. Oh. Oops. Oh. Oh. Okay. Oh, yeah. That's Thomas says I need a new keyboard. Yeah, I know TSR's terminate and stay resident. I guess I was trying to follow what you were The problem is that that's all that's running on this computer. There's not anything that I'll restart it. BIOS virus, says Sylvestron. I don't know. That's weird. It's something is. I mean, I guess it could be smart drive. Okay. BIOS sometimes eats memory for ROM overlays. Uh, the thing is, on the 286, I don't think it's a compressed BIOS. So I'm not convinced it's the BIOS taking up the memory. Certainly not what's nearly a megabyte of memory. I'm wondering if it's smart drive. It was smart drive. It's possible it was using that much memory because nothing else needed it. But there we go. That's what was using the megabyte of memory. It was smart drive. That's a that is a more believable amount of XMS memory used. Because that could be the ROM being shadowed. 64K. Assuming this BIOS does ROM shadowing, because you can't like enable or disable it. There's no option for it. Okay. Well that alright, so we got a RAM card, 2 megabytes of RAM, network card, controller card, and I don't think I've got any games on this compact flash card. That's only drawback here. All right, I guess what we'll do here, because this is my generic compact flash card for that I use to test systems. Let me grab a new compact, well, air quotes, new compact flash card. How about we will all right. So, oh, good night, Sylvestron. We'll talk to you later. All right. So I got a brand new, not brand new. I've got a compact flash card here. I don't think it's ever had DOS on it. Let's start the process of making a compact flash card for this system. because I'm going to have to put sound card drivers on it. I don't want to put them on my bench test. Or, well, let me put this way. I don't want to throw... I don't want to configure this card with stuff specific to one system because it's basically my bench card. I would rather... I do, though, need to copy some like generic utilities like Unisound onto it so that I can like generically test sound cards on systems if I'm trying to decide which one to use. But I don't want to... Whoops. Oh, that's right. This card's not used for DOS, so of course it couldn't boot off the C drive. All right. I did want to mark my bench card with bench. That way, when it inevitably goes in a drawer and I don't remember what it is, at least it's got the word bench on it. All right. So we'll, all right. So the one thing about MS-DOS 622 setup is you can't F-disk the hard drive in MS-DOS setup. So you do already have to have a partition on it. Alright, so this compact flash card has no partitions, and we'll go ahead and use the entire partition. Now, you can format the drive in MS-DOS 622 setup. If it sees the drive's not formatted, it will let you format it. But also the Trident's not staying in this computer because the Trident I have in it is not compatible with the LCD panel. I will eventually have to put the Yamaha video card back in it. Sadly. At least the Trident cards usually work. At least the ones I have. I've got a few that usually work. This one's one of them. Alright. But yeah. So I'll demonstrate that if you do have setup, that if you do start the setup and the drive's not formatted, it will give you the opportunity to format it. This is a 1 gigabyte compact flash card. Maybe it's a bit big for this system. But I kind of wanted enough that I could... I don't know. Could almost, if I needed to, use it to hold files to copy to other systems, since it is a nice portable form factor. I guess that could be a handy reason to have a 1 gigabyte compact flash card. So I could, like, lap link or even network copy files to another system. For a 286, it is formatting decently quick. I'm not surprised that it is taking some time because DOS format is basically touching all the sectors. And it is a gigabyte, so anyways, I had my other choices were 4 gigabytes, which is more than a single partition. I have like a 2 gigabyte, but I want to save that for a faster machine. And then it was like 1 256 and 2 128s. I kind of need to get some smaller-ish compact flash cards. Kind of in the probably the 1 to 2 gigabyte range. They're I guess probably could use some like 128 megabytes as well, because the 128 megabytes are something around that size or and smaller are better for XT machines like IBM XTs, because if you do a directory in DOS, you got to wait for it to calculate free space, and on the original 4.77 megahertz 8088, it gets painful to wait for much more than like a 32 megabyte card. If it says anything, that IBM portable personal computer I set up for a coworker, I initially did my work on a larger card, but then before giving it to her, I copied the software to a smaller card just because of how long it takes to do a directory and wait for it to calculate free size. So after having everything on the drive and knowing how much space it needed, I picked a more reasonable sized card for everything so that if anyone using the computer did a directory listing, it would return reasonably quickly. I think I ended up with like a 64 megabyte card or no, it was a 48 megabyte card. I didn't have a 64, I had a 48. And it returned reasonably quickly. That I was like, okay, no one's going to think something's wrong at this point. Granted, I guess I could have created a smaller partition, but I guess I decided I'd rather, like, the card be the correct size than limit a larger card to a small partition. Thomas says I format my CF card for my 5150 in a Pentium machine. Yeah, DOS 3.3 or 4 for speed. Well, but even DOS 3.3 or 4, it's the directory listing still calculates the free space on the drive. Now, that would be really cool if someone could, like, figure out how to, like, modify DOS so that it doesn't calculate free space when you do a directory listing. I mean, I guess in one case that's not helpful because then you don't know how much free space you have easily. But on the other hand, it lets you use a larger card on a slower machine, and you're not waiting for it to calculate free space. It'd be cool if you could, like, change, because I don't know where the directory, because I suspect the directory command is in command.com. It'd be really cool if you could change it so that maybe free space was calculated only if you gave it a parameter. So if you just wanted to know what was on the disk, you could issue a directory, and you didn't have to wait for it to calculate free space. Or maybe if there's an option, you could turn it off. I don't know. It's an idea. That would be cool. But it would make it more bearable to use compact flash cards on, or even SD cards on XT machines. I think by the time you got to the 286, the processor is relatively fast enough that I think it'll be, even this one's 12 megahertz, so I think it'll be reasonably fast enough to say that, and this DOS install is kind of on the slow side. Oh, you know, I may not be in turbo mode. Yeah, I just hit Control Alt Plus. I think that switches it to turbo. It may actually be. It may be running just a little bit faster. It's reading files from the floppy image right now. I think where it rebooted after F-Disk, I think it went to. Yeah, I forgot. The warm boot, it went back to 8 megahertz. All right, so the one thing I was working on is I was 3D printing some drive brackets to install the compact flash card into this computer. And I was trying to decide if I wanted to keep the original floppy drive in this computer. I mean, it is a 5.25-inch drive. Windows for 286. Yeah, I think I may install Windows 286 on this computer. It would be interesting to see Windows 286 running on the LCD panel. I'm not going to do that tonight, though, because by the time this DOS install finishes, it'll be time to end the stream. But anyways, I was trying to decide if I wanted to put the 5.25-inch drive back in and then a compact flash card to IDE adapter in the other 5.25-inch bay. I've never used Windows 2.1, so I honestly am curious to actually use it. The one thing I would like to do before tackling that is I want to try to figure out why I can't use the TTL output on the video card that came with the computer. I've thought about it, and I think the problem is I think the frequency it's running at is different than standard CGA. I think it's clocked at the LCD panel's refresh rate. I think that's why there's a microcontroller on the video card. My theory is that the microcontroller is reprogramming the CGA card registers to match the frequency of the LCD panel. I don't think the microcontroller is like reprocessing the signal. I have a feeling it's reprogramming the registers on the card to match the LCD panel. Because I have no evidence to say that the BIOS on this motherboard is customized for the LCD panel. I mean, I could be wrong, but it seems like the BIOS is standard, And I'm thinking the microcontroller is actually doing the work of setting the card up for the LCD panel. Because I have a suspicion the LCD panel's not running at exactly the same rate as CGA. But anyways, so one of my thoughts was to maybe replace the 5¼ inch drive that was in here with the 3.5 inch one. So it'd make it a little more useful for installing software. I also thought about just putting a GoTech in it, because then that would make it really easy to install software. But in any case, for the compact flash card, I was going to find an adapter that would let me put the compact flash card in the second drive bay, like it was the hard drive. And then, of course, the other thing I was trying to think of was what color filament I'd want to use. Because this case is yellowed. It looks like the plastic might have originally been white, or like a very light beige. Because I'm looking at the plastic that hasn't been exposed to the sun, and it looks lighter than standard beige. Although it probably was beige. But this case might have been a light beige when it was new. So I'm trying to decide, because the thing is, if I leave the 5¼ inch drive that's in it in, I don't have filament to match the floppy drive. I also don't have an abundance of 5¼ inch software. So I was really thinking I'd really like to make it easier to install software on the computer. So I was kind of leaning towards a GoTech. And just so that I could, because it just makes it easier. Although I did have the thought of putting one of my combo floppy drives in it. But again, though, I don't have an abundance of 5¼ inch software, and I'd kind of like to save those for systems that only have one drive bay, or that actually shipped with one. Thomas says, I have 49 Dyson high-density discs, and 49 are still good. Yeah, Dyson made good discs. The verbatim discs that I had that I bought on eBay that were 5¼ inch discs. Okay. Yeah, I have a bunch of 5¼ inch discs, but not a lot of software. They're blank. I mean, I could make discs, but the number of software titles that I've found that didn't also come on 3.5 inch discs that I would want to put on most systems, it's like, yeah, 5¼ inch drive is like, maybe I'll just use a GoTech. I don't know, I'm still deciding. It's kind of the same reason why I'm probably going to put the Pico Gus in this system is kind of also why I'm thinking of just putting a GoTech in this particular system. It's that's not nostalgic, but it certainly makes some things way easier for using this system. It does also make it so that I can possibly also use the system in a way that it might have been used in the past, and that's for, like, troubleshooting. Because I think one use of these systems back then would have been, if you were diagnosing a system, this might be the type of system you'd take with you to facilitate diagnosing another system. So I might make this into my portable system that I can use to, I don't know, for maybe not necessarily troubleshooting other systems, but maybe for getting them set up. In that I've got a network card in it. It's got a parallel port. Maybe I can get LapLink installed on it and get a LapLink cable. So if I've got another old system that I want to set up with software, at least if that other system I can boot from a floppy disk, then I can use LapLink to copy other things over. And with a nice 1 gigabyte compact flash card, I can actually have enough space for like DOS and Windows, or like some things that I might want to copy on another computer to set them up. And this computer's small enough that it doesn't take a lot of space on a desk to do that. And quite honestly, if I'm just running LapLink, 286 is probably more than enough. And I can still play games on it. So it's like, that's kind of a cool idea for it. Kind of use it to be able to then bring other systems back up. It, and then my other Lunchbox computer, which it's going to have, if it works out, it's going to have a 486 in it. Of course, also, I guess the reason why I'd put a 486 in it is because my other Lunchbox computer, its LCD panel is apparently VGA and not CGA. It could still be CGA, but the card that drives it is a VGA card. Hi, Mikey. Welcome. Mikey's asking, how much RAM does this machine have? All right, so this machine has 3 megabytes of memory in it right now. Although, given how 286 systems enumerate RAM, the system is not reporting all 3 megabytes for some reason. That's probably for me to troubleshoot later. But it does have 3 megabytes installed in it. Thomas says, Lunchbox and a Pizza Mac beside it. Yeah. And actually that, the thought had crossed my mind to then maybe one of my compact Macs could be a similar system. Maybe it could be one that can help bring other Macs up. I don't know. Anyways, there we go. Got MS-DOS 622 installed on a compact flash card. All right, and the free space check, that runs reasonably quickly. So, but yeah, we got, so we can load some DOS and drivers and high RAM. Yep, that is true. Because of 1 megabyte on the motherboard, 2 megabytes in the RAM card. I think I do have some more RAM, so at some point I might try to put 2 more megabytes in the RAM card for a total of, I guess it would be a total of 5 megabytes. But it takes long enough to run a memory test on a 286, even if I'm running at 12 megahertz, that we're not going to do that tonight, because I do have to work tomorrow. And I don't know what the weather's going to do tonight, so hopefully me bringing my laptop home will mean it's going to be a great big nothing burger in terms of weather, but I don't know what the weather forecast is settled on, although I think if we do get snow, it's supposed to be less than an inch, so anyways, yeah. So if it's kind of one of those, if I do have to go to work, I need to at least make sure I'm there a few minutes earlier than usual so I can set my laptop back up on my desk, because I brought it home with me. Just in case that we do get snow tonight, that I didn't have to do go to work to grab it to come home if the weather did get bad. Because, I don't know, at some point this week they were calling for worse snow than an inch, but Anyways, yeah, it was a great stream. We got the XTIDE Universal BIOS running on this computer by means of I grabbed it from the other 286 we recently worked on. So the good thing is, knowing that this system uses the same BIOS image, then getting that other 286 back up with another copy, I just burn the same image and we're done. So I'll be able to get it running on the other system. But we got that. We got 2 megabytes in the RAM card that it actually likes. So that does mean that the 2 megabytes that shipped with the RAM card from the eBay seller are apparently both bad. So I should, well, okay, I don't know that if they're both bad, but at least one of them is bad. So let me draw I am going to put a question mark before they get mixed up with anything. I'm going to go ahead and draw a question mark on both of them, because one of them is bad. But in order to figure out which one is bad, I will have to find a third module that at least is similar enough that I don't have to worry about. I'll have to find another 1 megabyte parity module that is at least that I know works. Then I can try to figure out which of the two of these is bad. If not, potentially both of them. So, yeah, with that, I think this is a good place to stop the stream. We didn't get to sound cards tonight, but I suspect the Lunchbox PC will probably come back later this month. Mikey says, RAM bad. No, strong bad. Yeah. So anyways, we'll, yeah, I'm sure the Lunchbox will come back later this month. But let's see here. So next week, I think my streams will be on Tuesday and Thursday. Because, yeah, it'll be a relatively normal week in terms of scheduling. And then the following 2 weeks, let's see here. Okay, so next week I think will be Tuesday and Thursday for next week. Then the week after that, which is Christmas week, I will probably live stream on Monday and Tuesday, but I'm not going to do the 2 long streams 2 days in a row. That burned me out. So I may do 1 long stream that week and 1 more normal-sized stream, but I'm not going to burn myself out again like I did and do 2 long streams. And then the week after that, which is going to be New Year's week, I may stream Tuesday and Thursday. So yeah, that one I may be back to my Tuesday, Thursday schedule. Because, yeah. And then for January, I'm trying to decide whether I will be Tuesday, Thursday, or if I need to go back to Monday, Thursday. So stay tuned on that. But anyways, yeah, next week, Tuesday, Thursday, the week after, Monday, Tuesday, and then the week after that, Tuesday, Thursday. Pretty sure is the schedule. Yeah, thanks for joining us, Doc. And I'm glad we could have a discussion about desoldering. It's how we learn. So with that, now that I've got the schedule announcements, yeah, coffee goal. So in terms of next week, what I want to work on, I will probably will take a short break from the Lunchbox PC so that I can at least get some other DOS computer in. I will have to put my thinking cap on which one I want to try. So, but yeah, we'll probably take a short break from the Lunchbox PC, but it will be back because I would like to wrap it up. In fact, actually, that might be what I do. The Lunchbox PC, I might save it for the long stream because because I've got the other Lunchbox PC I'd like to also get working. So maybe the next time it comes back, it'll be the long stream, so we can look at both. That actually sounds like a good plan. So yeah, Tuesday though, it will be another computer. I'm taking a quick look around the basement to see if I saw something that like immediately stood out as, ooh, we must look at this, but I'll think of something this weekend. So stay tuned. Yeah, you'll have to subscribe and turn on notifications so you know when I go live next. That way you'll know, you'll see what I schedule for Tuesday. Don't forget to smash that like button to let the YouTube algorithm knows you like live streams like this. Tell a friend how the channel grows. And with that, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. And yep, there we go. I got my finger in the correct place. So yeah, we'll see you next week, Thomas. Yeah, with that, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Take care and God bless. Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. Don't forget to smash that like button. And if you've liked what you've seen, subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss the next video or live stream. And as always, thank you for all your support. I hope to see you next time. And until then, take care.